Husband forced me to cook for 40 guests at his promotion party, then humiliated me in front of everyone, saying I was lucky he married me. So I set down the apron for good and left him the divorce papers on the kitchen counter. You won't believe the words that came out of my husband's mouth that night. He stood there, basking in the spotlight of his promotion party, and publicly mocked me, telling everyone I was the lucky one. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just cooking for 40 people. I was cooking my way out of his life, and I left him with divorce papers on the kitchen counter. Not long ago, my husband finally got that big promotion at his job. And honestly, I was incredibly proud. I'd watched him pour his heart and soul into that company for years, always going above and beyond. Seeing him get recognized, finally, after all that dedication, it made me so happy for him. He was ecstatic and immediately wanted to throw a huge backyard party. He envisioned this grand celebration, and I wanted to support him, of course. But a familiar dread began to creep in. See, whenever my husband throws a party, it always means I'm doing all the cooking. He hates the idea of catering, says no one knows his taste like I do. So, it falls to me, hours in the kitchen making enough food for 30, sometimes 40 people, then the endless cleanup.
It's exhausting.
This time, I decided to speak up. Honey, I started, you're getting a huge bonus. How about we hire a caterer for your big night? Take some pressure off me. But he just pushed back. Why waste money on strangers, he argued, when you can do it perfectly? Just plan ahead, start early. He even tried to flatter me, saying my cooking was the best. It wasn't flattery, it was just a way to steamroll me into doing the work as usual. I didn't want to fight, so I just shook my head, frustrated, and let it go. Deep down, I wished he understood how draining it all was. The day of the party, I was a whirlwind. Up before dawn, a million things on my mental checklist. Hours in the kitchen, cooking 7 full dishes from scratch. Then, setting up the entire backyard, plates, glasses, silverware, napkins, meticulously arranged. I was doing it all. The one, single, solitary thing I asked him to do? Get our 7-year-old daughter ready. But even that fell to me. Guests were arriving, and she still wasn't dressed. So I dropped everything, rushed to help her, feeling this wave of stress and, honestly, unfairness. I wanted to enjoy the celebration too, but I was just a one-woman show. Before the first guest even rang the bell, he came down. And what did he say? Not thank you, honey. Or you've done an amazing job.
No.
He looked around and casually said, I expected more dishes. My jaw almost hit the floor. After days of planning, prepping, cooking, organizing, taking care of our daughter all on my own, that was his feedback? I was already bone-tired, physically and emotionally drained. And instead of appreciation, I got a complaint. That comment stung. More than he'll ever know. I said nothing, but a cold disappointment settled in my chest. Once the party started, he was in his element, laughing, chatting, soaking up the spotlight. His friends, coworkers, the backyard buzzing with joy. I, meanwhile, kept moving, refilling trays, checking on food, making sure everyone was taken care of. My feet ached, my head throbbed, but I just kept going, determined no one would see how utterly exhausted I was. Then the clinking of glasses. Everyone turned to him, ready for a speech. He stood up, beaming, thanking everyone for coming, talking about how much the promotion meant, his new corner office. It was a proud, happy moment. Then he spoke about his childhood, how he came from nothing, how his parents' discipline shaped him. My in-laws, sitting nearby, practically glowed with pride. And then he raised his glass again and said, I'm so lucky to have a beautiful family.
My heart soared.
This was it. This was where he'd finally acknowledge me. My support, my sacrifices, all the quiet work I'd put in to help him get here. I stood there, heart open, just waiting for that small moment of recognition. He continued, I couldn't have been here without my wife. Yes, I thought. Finally, but then a cruel twist. He grinned and joked, though honestly, I'd probably still be successful, just with a little more money in my bank account. The crowd laughed. They thought it was funny, lighthearted. I didn't. I forced a polite smile, but inside, I deflated. He went on. Honestly, if it weren't for my wife, I'd probably be nowhere. She's like my personal drill sergeant, always telling me what to do, how to do it, and when. Her constant nagging has really helped me develop some patience. If I can survive my wife's daily lectures, I can handle any boss in the office. So, thanks for that, babe. More laughter. They saw it as playful teasing, but it felt like a punch to the gut. After everything I'd done for the party for him over the years, he was making me the butt of his joke. I felt small. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, but I stayed quiet, desperate not to ruin his celebration. Then, one of his friends, bless her heart, raised her glass. Let's also thank your wife for all the amazing food and for making this party possible. For a fleeting second, I felt seen. I mumbled, thank you. But instead of letting that moment stand, he laughed again, loudly. Oh, yeah, my wife can definitely cook. She's had a lot of practice over the years. After all, someone's got to keep the house running while I'm out doing the real work, right? A hush fell. People looked uncomfortable, but he just kept going, oblivious. My wife's actually the lucky one, though. Let's be honest. I've given her, and honestly, even her whole family, a brand new life. I mean, where would they be without me? Probably still stuck, struggling, going nowhere fast. I didn't just build my career, I basically built theirs too. I froze. A physical blow. He chuckled, as if he'd delivered the cleverest line of the night.
But the room didn't laugh with him this time.
The lively atmosphere died. Forced smiles, averted gazes. My chest tightened, a heavy weight pressing down. Tears pricked my eyes, but I fought them back. Not here. Not in front of everyone I'd worked so hard for. I wanted to be strong, even though inside, I was shattered. What truly crushed me wasn't just the words. It was the casual cruelty, the way he said it like it was no big deal. Like I was nothing. I, who had quietly worked behind the scenes, cooking, cleaning, planning, supporting him without asking for a shred of praise.
I was the punchline.
The one everyone laughed at. I was the lucky one. I kept repeating in my head, disbelief warring with a searing anger. The truth? I got pregnant in college, his child, and dropped out because of the bullying. He pushed me to keep the baby, then offered no real help. I went through the entire pregnancy, alone, scared. He graduated, I raised our daughter. My parents disowned me, I lived in their basement with our baby. My life didn't improve when I finally moved in with him. He made me a stay-at-home wife, which became his full-time cook, cleaner, helper. I bought groceries, cleaned his messes, did his laundry, even cared for a sick dog. All while raising our child. He never thanked me. Meanwhile, he took trips with friends, leaving me to handle everything. Weekends, he'd disappear to golf, while our daughter longed for her dad. I hadn't had a break, a vacation, a moment to myself in years. And he had the audacity to call me the lucky one? The only time he helped my family was when my dad had a car accident. My parents were about to lose their home. I had to beg him. He didn't want to get involved. I reminded him I'd never asked him for a penny for myself, for my family, despite all I did for his. He finally, reluctantly, paid their debts. And since then, he'd held it over my head like a weapon. You forget how much I do for you and your family, he'd sneer during arguments. I'm the reason your family is still standing. I'd always stayed silent, but saying it now, in front of everyone, as if it were some victory he deserved praise for, it was humiliating. But for the first time, I felt something new. White-hot anger. How dare he act like he was some big shot, better than me, better than my family. How dare he dismiss everything I had done, everything I had sacrificed. That night, I knew I couldn't pretend anymore. As everyone clapped for his speech, I clapped too, the loudest. Because in that very moment, my mind was made up. My eyes were wide open. He didn't love me, not truly. He didn't respect or appreciate me. To him, I was just a convenience, an invisible servant. And I was done being Mrs. Nobody. I mattered. My life mattered. It was time to reclaim my worth. Overwhelmed, I took our daughter upstairs, read her a story, tucked her into bed. I refused to go back downstairs. He came looking for me, annoyed. Come down and entertain the guests, he demanded. I looked him straight in the eye. This is your party, I said calmly. It's your responsibility to entertain your friends. He was stunned, silent. After the guests left, the party was over. But I didn't clean a single thing. The dishes piled up, glasses scattered, kitchen a war zone. For once, I stayed away from it all. I needed a break. From the endless chores, the feeling of being unnoticed. He quickly noticed. Why are you acting like this? He'd snap, looking at the mess. Why the attitude? You haven't even cooked for me. He couldn't comprehend why I wasn't doing everything. But I was tired. Tired of being invisible. Tired of doing everything behind the scenes. It was time for him to see what it was like when I wasn't there to fix it all. People kept asking me, why didn't you ask him to help earlier? I tried. He just said he preferred me to handle it. Have you talked to him about how his words made you feel?
Not yet.
My feelings were too raw. But honestly, it wouldn't have been the first time. Every time I'd tried in the past, he'd brush it off, joke about my panties in a bunch, or if I was on my period. My pain was never real to him. That's why I stayed silent that night. I knew he'd just laugh it off. Why do you keep doing so much for him? I thought that was just part of being a wife. But I realized it wasn't fair. I couldn't keep doing it alone. Does he know how much you've sacrificed?
No.
He takes it all for granted. He acts like he's done everything for me. He wouldn't be so successful without me holding everything together at home. I didn't need a parade, just a little appreciation. Was that really too much to ask? Couples counseling? I'd suggested it. He refused, said there was nothing wrong with our marriage, that I was watching too much reality TV. He thought counselors were a joke. It felt like I was the only one who saw the cracks. What next? I knew I couldn't go back to being invisible. I wanted to leave, but I had no support, no savings. I needed a plan. I needed financial independence. He always opposed me working, said our daughter needed a stay-at-home mom. I went along with it, but not anymore. I had to build a life for myself and my child that didn't depend on him. So I started job hunting. 6 months later, here I am. I know this is the update many of you are waiting for. I'm finally leaving my husband. After years of feeling unheard, unappreciated, and utterly invisible, I found the strength to walk away. These last 6 months have been a grueling marathon, but also the most empowering time of my life. Since that night, since his public joke that tore me apart, I stopped being his full-time maid. No more cooking, no more laundry, no more cleaning up after him like some ghost living in the walls. I drew boundaries. For once, I chose me. I found a part-time job, despite his loud disapproval. You should be home with our daughter, he'd yell. Why do you need to work when I provide for you? I ignored him. That part-time job led to a full-time position. I opened my own bank account. I started saving every penny, quietly, carefully, building my escape. Of course, he noticed. He grew suspicious. He started picking fights, accusing me of cheating, demanding to know why I was acting different. He'd yell, insult me, try to belittle me back into submission. But I stayed calm. I kept my head down. I kept moving forward. And now I'm done. I found a small, safe apartment for me and our daughter. This week, I packed our bags, left the keys on the kitchen counter, and placed the divorce papers right beside them. When he found out, he exploded. Called me selfish, ungrateful, swore I'd regret it, threw a full-blown tantrum. But I didn't care. Let him cry. Let him scream. Let him sit in the mess he created. I wasn't cleaning it up this time. My in-laws are furious, calling nonstop, blaming me, even threatening to take my daughter. But let me be crystal clear. That will never happen. I will fight tooth and nail to protect my child. She deserves peace. She deserves a happy home, not one filled with yelling, fear, and control. I don't know what the future holds. It won't be easy, I know. But for the first time in years, I feel free. I feel alive. To everyone who supported me, who encouraged me, or just read my story, thank you. You reminded me I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't overreacting, and that I truly deserved better. And now I'm finally giving myself that chance.
It's been 4 months since I left.
We're divorced. I received what the court deemed fair: alimony, child support. My ex tried everything to stop it: begging, yelling, accusing, guilt-tripping. He even tried to delay the paperwork, hoping I'd change my mind. But I didn't. During the process, he played the victim to anyone who'd listen, saying I was going through a phase, influenced by social media, breaking up our family for no reason. Right now, he's living with his mother. Apparently, he can't live in the same house alone without us. His mother, my former mother-in-law, is just as furious. She calls me a homewrecker, telling everyone I destroyed her son's life. Apparently, I should have just stayed quiet, cooked his meals, folded his laundry, and smiled through the disrespect. No, thank you. As for my ex, he calls me constantly. I'm not exaggerating, 20, 30 times a day. He claims he's nearly broke now, and it's all my fault. He swings wildly between begging me to come back and accusing me of ruining his life. I ignore every single call. It's wild, watching someone who once treated me like I was invisible suddenly act like he can't live without me. But the truth is, he doesn't miss me. He misses the convenience, the maid, the cook, the childcare provider, the emotional punching bag. That's what he lost. And I'm so damn glad. So, tell me, have any of you ever had a moment where you just realized you were done with someone's disrespect? What was your turning point? I really want to know.